And we welcome you into another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We are coming to you once again from Quaker Steak and Lube. It is the place to be anytime, including for the big game.
The big one.
Coming up. If you are staying at home, but you want to enjoy the great food here from Quaker Steak and Lube, we strongly encourage you to order, whether it's the bone-in or the boneless wings. They can get you all set up. And for that matter, again, you don't have to wait for the big game. You can enjoy some of the sports action this weekend. For those of you that are NBA fans, God bless you. Enjoy it. Have some fun with that. The rest of us that are sane, NHL, college basketball action, and probably some college wrestling on over the course of the weekend as well.
Still on?
As of now,
there we go. All
Penn
right.
State has
closer.
2 duels on the schedule, and as of at least 2 minutes ago, nothing had come across telling me otherwise. So Penn State set to wrestle Indiana at noon Eastern time on Saturday, and then square off with Northwestern at 4 o'clock. Both matches in Evanston, Illinois on Saturday. And yep, it'll be our first glimpse of the 2021 edition of the Nittany Lions. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be
they got you going?
Interesting.
Are you traveling, or are you going to be in?
No, not traveling. Yep, we'll be here with a feed, I guess a Zoom call feed with the camera, so we'll have all of the coverage along the Penn State Sports Network of the action. Penn State Notre Dame hockey tonight. Good. I'm just loving watching this team and the way it's kind of progressing as the season goes along here, and I think again, as we've been talking about it, I think it's going to lead to bigger and better things, but live in the now, and let's see what this team can still accomplish this season. It has been red hot again. I thought as impressive as the win streak was, really the splitting the series with Wisconsin has been as impressive as anything to me, especially bouncing back after that opening loss. So another big opportunity here with Notre Dame. Home ice here for the Nittany Lions, and again, just good opportunities here for Penn State. Moving forward, basketball team, tough anytime you see Penn State lose to Ohio State. I don't care what the circumstances, what the team, what the sport, whatever. It just, you don't like to see Penn State lose to Ohio State. That being said, this is a team that can still do some good things here in the conference, and be curious to see what happens here over the next couple of weeks with that program.
Start with the hockey, and I'm going to say this, that like you always the sign of a very good program, a great program, is that you don't take years off. And forever people were saying this is going to be a down year for Penn State, down year for Penn State. That's not Godowski's way. It's definitely not the way he coaches these teams.
Yeah.
He's got these guys rolling, and they're believing, and they're rolling out 4 lines, and they're busting butts, man. I mean, they're playing great. Playing hard as hell is what they're doing, and they're playing good as a team. And he's I don't want to sit there and say he's like Cale Sanders, but Cale gets his guys like it's like a plateau. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's not like you don't want to peak here, they go down. It's like a building up to the closing short. How at the end of the season is when you want to be putting your best, and I think the guy does that just as well as Cale. I mean, Cale has those guys ready. Like last year's wrestling tournament was canceled. I mean, Iowa and Penn State were going to go head-to-head. Iowa got the best of them in the regular season and this and that, but you just had that feeling that, like, these kids are ready to go. So people who were saying that the hockey team was going to be down this year don't know Godowski. They really don't know Guy Godowski and the type of kids he has on his team and the type of maniacs he recruits. So they don't want to be known, we're a down year. What athlete, what competitor wants to hear that? Nobody, So looking forward to this big game. These next 2 games are huge. Absolutely enormous for Penn State on the ice. And going to basketball last night, it's like we were doing this show for 2-3 years now, and it's like it's still the same thing. It's like it can't close, it can't finish. Yeah. It just drives you absolutely crazy. Is it like, are they just 1 player away, 2 players away? What's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's because for the last couple of years, I said, well, it's the coach. Well, it's not. It's a different coach now. Maybe you're just going to say it's the staff. They need to get a whole. I don't know. I mean, I really don't. It is. It's frustrating. It's disappointing. And yet, on the other hand, it in some ways is still encouraging, right? Like, I mean, these are very winnable games, and I know, it's the frustration comes with the tired refrain of, well, yeah, that was a winnable game. Like, they let that one slip away, and there's only so many times you can say that before it really starts to wear on you. But part of it again is, in fairness, they're just in a brutal conference, and man, if you do not close strongly, right, this is a conference that will make you pay and pay dearly night in and night out.
Pay dearly is right. I mean, there's some absolute killers out there in the Big Ten. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is, and it's been that way, for several years now.
So they played very, very well last night, and and I will definitely
for most of the game.
I will say that I'm actually very impressed with Coach Ferry. He's doing a heck of a job. Those kids are playing they're playing their hearts out is what they're doing. And again, are they just wearing down by the end of the game? Is that the issue? It's if you're gonna pull an upset over number 13 Ohio State, you got to have everything clicking at once. And they played a hell of a second half, but then in the end they faded, and Ohio State made the shots and we didn't. And it's the same tired story and this and that, but that's the cards we're dealt this year. And I think that Coach Ferry is doing. I do want to take my hat off to him. I'm telling you, those kids had every right to just say, you know what, I don't want to play. I don't want to play with what happened to Pat in the offseason and this and that. But these kids are still out there. They're playing their butts off. They're playing hard, and they're playing for the Denton Lions.
Yeah, and to me, we're at a point now. I don't know what others think. To me, Ferry has earned the opportunity, unless you're going to go out and bring in a game changer. And I don't know anybody anywhere that thinks that's what Penn State's going to do. It's not been Penn State's MO ever. In basketball. And to think that they would do it coming out of COVID and all of the economic peril that brings just seems improbable at best. And so, again, to me, if you're not bringing in the game changer, whoever that might be, that changes the paradigm, a la Cal Sanderson with the wrestling program, then I think you go with Ferry, right? I mean, I think he's earned that opportunity. I also think, from the standpoint of the stability of the program, right? To disrupt this thing again. And I realize Sandy's saying she'll do it right at the end of this season. So, I mean, you'll have some time to get everything in place, unlike this year. But again, why bring in somebody that's going to change the systems? Again, unless it's a game changer, but I just can't envision the scenario where they're going to do that, again, with the economic realities that are out there, and just with the history of where basketball is on the priority list of Penn State athletics. So, to me, unless something really unforeseen happens down the stretch here, Ferry ought to be the head coach next year and ought to be given the reins and an opportunity to see what he can do over the course of a 3 to 5 year run here.
Oh, well, I mean, as he deserved it, I don't know, but it was just like he was the next man up, and he has proven that he is capable. We got to see how it's going to happen with recruiting before I go with the 3 to 5 year thing. I would not mind giving him another year. But you're right. It might be a 3-year process to see, how he is as a recruiter and everything like that. But just, it is frustrating. And then, to hear Sandy say, well, we only lost $20 to $25 million last year when we thought we were going to lose more. I mean, you've been happy to say I lost $20 to $25 million and be like, hey, that was a lot. That was about half as much as we thought we were going to lose. So give me any idea how that happens. What do you think? What did people donate more? I
mean, my guess is that they didn't have as many people fall out as they thought with both tickets and with donations. I also think the TV revenue ended up right. I mean, you weren't sure what you were getting. At one point, you thought there was no football season. Well, the fact that you got 9 games in, right, is not insignificant when you're talking about TV revenue.
Absolutely.
That in and of itself may explain the $25 million.
You may know better than I do. I mean, I just know, when we traveled for bowl games, it was usually you took your certain amount out of what your team traveled with, and then the rest would go to the Big Ten. So we didn't go to a bowl, so we didn't actually have any kind of expense, and all the money that we came out was all profit from that. We didn't have a $5 million travel budget staying down at the bowl game and traveling down 200, 300, 400 people for a bowl game. So you're thinking about saving that much money, and then you're still going to get that bowl money coming in. I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know, but I mean, there's definitely the no bowl game travel expense. You're not paying people to work. You're not paying for the stadium. I don't know.
And there are some travel. I mean, I don't know all of the ins and outs. I just like with wrestling, it's basically the coaches and the athletes. There may be one or two other people that are traveling, but that's the same thing with basketball. So you're in the overall scheme of an athletic department budget. I get that we're talking about literally drops in the bucket here, but you're talking about, if you're reducing the travel party, and I don't know for sure what football looked like, but I'm guessing that travel party probably was reduced by whatever percentage. But when you start going down all of the sports, again, they're not sending any of the, and not that that's a huge expense. Again, I get it. With the from the announcers to the support staff that might normally be traveling, and even with some of the hotel expenses. Again, you take what's normally, I'll say that they're going to be on the road for, what would it be? You're usually 5 or 6 weekends over a season. Now you're on the road for 3 or 4 for these various programs, right? I mean, so
that had to save a ton of money. You're not booking the big planes, and I'm over here laughing. I got to get
all told. Yeah, go ahead.
So, as players, it was my first year, was when we used to take the big 747 down and have the whole Penn State bowl party, and we used to just sit there, and the players would be in the back stuffed in 3 in a row, and we're 300-pound men all stuffed in there, and this and that. And you're looking at these people getting on this plane. You're like, who the hell is that? Who the hell is that? Who the hell is that? And we used to call them driftwood. And so you never saw this person 358 days a year, but for those 7 days a week, for that bowl week, them, their wife, and all their kids were on that plane and this and that, and you're just sitting there all stuffed into a plane flying to Arizona. And it was always like one of those, like, wow. What are these people doing? And they used to have the front and the middle and all players being in a trunk. So we flew cargo out there. But that changed, obviously. But, it never changed. Like, say you go to the Rose Bowl. I mean, I can look back to because our travel arrangements changed when we used to go to bowl games in my second, third, fourth, and fifth year. But nowadays, I mean, they still bring the whole athletic department, their wives, their husbands, their wives, and their children's for the whole department goes. So, I mean, just if we were to go to a bowl game and then you flying the band out, you're flying the cheerleaders out, you're flying all these people out, it's just insane the amount of people that would fly to these big games. And you take that expense away, that could be $10 million right there.
Yeah, again, I don't know when you balance it all out. I mean, I'm not that up to date on the financial components of an athletic department, but you're obviously not getting the gate receipts for these home events, but you're still getting, again, that TV revenue. And to your point, right, the cheerleaders and the band are traveling to however many basketball games normally a year, football, so all of those expenses, again, obviously less revenue coming in by a substantial margin, but a lot of the expenses are also pretty substantially reduced here throughout the course of the year. So
we only lost $20 to $25 million last year. I just heard that, and it was like, it was so nonchalantly said, and I was like, oh my God, we're just talking about that, and hey, good to go.
Nothing to worry about here.
Let's rock and roll. Let's go spend some more somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see moving forward, like next year, kind of what how some of this stuff plays out as far as.
I do want to say this. I do personally believe that I knew the university was going to be in trouble as an alumni, as a supporter, and I give minimal amount of money, but I would just take it. You know what I mean? Because that was you want your money back, and people were taking their ticket money back, and I'm like, take the donation, take the parking money, and this and that. You know, I get free tickets this season. In essence, all I got to do is repay my donation and my parking passes, and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
There's some people who weren't like that, and they wanted everything back, and that's fine. Take it, but if your tickets are gone, don't you complain, because your university was in need, and if it goes away, it goes away. I mean, your tickets and stuff like that. So you're gonna. I mean, I figured that's the way I looked at it. Is, you know what, they're going to be really, really hurting. I'm going to do whatever I can. And, you know, again, I'm just a little drop in a bucket, but.
Well, and again, it depends on your circumstances too, right? I mean, if, you know, there are people that
with the one we wake here, Jeff. Jeez,
that might not have been in a position to, you know, because of dire circumstances they're facing, not be able. And
people are going to try and help them out.
So,
I mean, that's the way I looked at the university. I know that they were going to be they're going to be really, really, really hurting, and you know, I think that's when people jumped up and said, "Okay, we're here to help. Let's get it. Let's rock and roll."
Speaking of rock and rolling,
you want to get them on the camera there, Jeffrey? Holy heck!
Yeah, that's this is why you need to come to Quaker Steak and Lube, kiddos. This is
Ironhead like
we're pretty happy campers. I'm just saying, this is not a bad life we're leading down here.
Yeah, so I mean, watching the hockey game. I mean, get ready for this weekend. Big games coming up.
Yeah,
I love that Notre Dame plays in the Big Ten and for hockey. You know what I mean?
I do.
It's just such a natural fit. I don't know why in the hell they just don't do it for all sports. It drives me nuts. So imagine their travel budget having to go to the ACC territory every other weekend. It'd be nice to drive to Purdue, drive to Indiana, drive to Michigan, drive to, you know, Illinois. It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah. Although Penn State's been doing it for since the early 90s in the Big Ten. Well, that's true, but man,
it's just too much of a natural.
Little difference in the travel budget from the West Virginia, Syracuse, Temple days to the Ohio State, Wisconsin.
This is true.
Nebraska.
And I will say,
days.
I will do research on this weekend because I believe Wilbon was saying one day that, you know, everybody's like, well, Notre Dame has that huge television contract and this and that. So does the Big Ten. They have their own freaking network.
Yeah.
They're not making that much more money than any Big Ten. Actually, they're making less than a Big Ten school.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, the Big Ten is supporting, I don't know what Notre Dame has now in terms of, varsity programs, but it's not what Penn State and Ohio State has. I can guarantee you that in terms of the number. I'm guessing off the top of my head, and I'll look this up. They
don't wrestle, right?
Not anymore. They used to have a nice wrestling program, but I'm guessing they're in the 20 to 24 low 20s. A lot of these Big Ten programs, I mean, you know, I think just about all of them have at least 25, 26 programs that they're supporting. And, you know, Ohio State, Penn State, you're talking about over 30
So we're talking about all
programs.
All the football is what we're talking about. That's what I always talk about. But people got to realize it's not football. It's the gymnastics teams. It's the tennis teams. It's the wrestling teams who are needing that funding money. You know, it's like they have that great TV contract for NBC. That's great. Yada, 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 whatever. The Big Ten teams are making more than that, and they have more sports teams that they're supporting, and it just seems to me that Notre Dame has that like arrogance that like they won't come down to the Big Ten level because they think that they're that much better than the Big Ten. That's how I feel, and I was out there one time as a player, melting my shoe in 1992, my claim to fame during the Snow Bowl, and starring in Rudy, actually.
Which actually, that type of arrogance, by the way, ought to be embraced, because that's what the Big Ten is all about, is arrogance.
Exactly, right?
I mean, so I'm sure just makes it a more natural fit.
We went out there in 2006, and I was on the staff, and I was like, and people, I'm just walking out there, and I've said it on this show 10 times. The arrogance of people, welcome to Notre Dame Stadium. Welcome to Notre Dame. Like, I'm supposed to walk out in the field like Rudy and bow and kiss and put a piece of grass in my wallet and say, I was at Notre Dame Stadium. I don't give a crap who you were at Notre Dame. Well, I mean, come on. You're a freaking school, whatever. You're just a regular school, and you're not that much better. And then I swear to God, Joe did not give good pregame speeches. I mean, I'll be the first to admit it, but I'm telling you, he got guys more jacked up the night before games. And
his pep rally speeches were fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah, Friday night.
Friday night, you're ready to go to the game. You're in the elevator, like punching people, like going to your room, like you wake up and you're like, okay, we gotta go play a game today. Ho hum, and then Joe's like, hey, we're gonna get out there play offense, defense, the night before he's like, Rockney's not coming out of the ground, the 4 horsemen ain't making a tackle. And you're just sitting in your chair, you're ready to rip the table apart. You're like, Argh. And then he's like, okay, guys, go to bed. I was like, okay, dude, brutal. But yeah, he definitely gave those unbelievable. I know I wasn't here in 1990, but I was out there in 92 when we lost and the 2-point play. But the guys in 1990, when they upset number 1 Notre Dame, they said he sort of did the same speech that he gave the night before the 1990 game, and that was the, Rockney's not coaching, the 4 horsemen aren't running the ball or not making tackles and this and that. Notre Dame is just a team; they're not this and that. They're not Penn State; they're not at our level, type of thing. Just get you all jazzed up, and I was just sitting there like all kinds of crazy and wound up in this and that. Like I said, I got in the elevator with Kyle Brady, and I'm like sitting there, we're like pushing each other, having a one-on-one hand battle. Like, let's do this, man. Let's get this done, But it was just he. I'm way all over the place, by the way. I had 4 cups of coffee today, by the way.
It's working.
You could tell. So
it's working because I needed those 4 cups of coffee is what I needed today.
He gave a great one the night before Michigan in 1994. It may have been 93 when we were playing up here, but the night before up here wasn't a good speech night because we were at Top Trees, and I was like, But the 94 game, we were out there, and he told the story that Michigan offered him the head job before Schembechler.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was offered the job, and he's like, I'm not leaving Penn State. We're Penn State. And they're like, well, we're the University of Michigan. We're this and that. And he's like, we're Penn State, He's all kinds of wound up and this and that. And he's trying to tell us that, they think that they're better than us because they're Michigan. We're Penn State, going absolutely crazy bonkers. And we were obviously all jacked up and wound up for that game.
Yeah.
And, it showed. I had so much coffee, I went and shaved today, Jeff.
Yeah, this is it's a whole new Goon.
It's a new Goon. I'm like Marsha Brady. I'm the new Jan Brady. I'm the new Jan Brady.
See, this is the problem, though. So this is the problem with the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl. Like we should be all hepped up for the Super Bowl this Sunday. Now you got to try to keep this energy going for another 9 days.
I'm going to be down in the Keys as of Wednesday morning.
It's going to be another 36 cups of coffee.
I'm going to have that kind of energy going down in Key West, Florida there, buddy, for 6 or 7 days. So I don't know about you, but I will say that we ended the show the other day. I don't know if we said it, the one time that they didn't have the break, they went conference championship Super Bowl was the Eagles Patriots in 04-05. And it was like, it sort of cost the Eagles because I said T.O. could have had another week to heal the broken leg, and McNabb could have done some extra conditioning.
You could have been contenders.
Could have been the contenders, So she's still denying the whole.
All due to the lack of an
T.O.
extra
was not
week.
the problem, but imagine a whole other week to get that much better. I mean, he could have been open, even more open, if somebody could throw him the ball. Yeah.
He would have been 20 yards from anybody else instead of 10.
Beautiful. God. I mean, I had a great question posed to me the other day. Is this the best quarterback matchup in Super Bowl history? The only other name that came up was Staubach, Bradshaw. Elway and Favre.
Yeah,
you can go and say Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson type of game. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. It was an old Peyton Manning, but yeah, you're right. The Saints Colts, I believe that was 11, maybe 12. But is this the best matchup?
I don't know. Tarkenton Bradshaw is going to be hard to. I don't think you're ever going to see a matchup as good as that. But besides that one,
I mean, there's some pretty cool matchups. But I'm telling you, you can put Brady,
Jaworski, Plunkett.
Oh, Jim.
I mean, come on.
How about Flores getting all the love by Coors Light this offseason, too, in those commercials. So they want to put him in the Hall of Fame, so Coors is sponsoring him. It's pretty awesome.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, what's your call? Do you think this is the best matchup, quarterback-wise?
No, I'd Tarkenton Bradshaw.
Are you serious with that?
No.
Oh.
Not serious.
I mean, people are like, well, that's the old adage is Bradshaw, was he his era's Troy Aikman? He was just a beneficiary of having just unbelievable players around him.
I mean, I think that's, and again, I mean, Aikman is what stirred that drink, right? I mean, obviously, no question he had talent. And yeah, I mean, Bradshaw, I think that the same thing. I mean, we've talked about this, I think, before, but there are so many things that play into a player's career, right? I mean, you could have Tom Brady-like talent and work ethic and all of that, and if you're not in the right organization and surrounded by the right people, yes, the cream will rise to a top to a certain degree, but in a team sport and in professional sports where organization is also everything, right? I mean, so who knows if I always love that because it doesn't do you any good. It's fun sports talk and it's fun to kick around, but like if Terry Bradshaw had gone to the Raiders, do the Raiders become, or do the Steelers just plug in whoever else is there? And, the truth is you'll never know. It all fits together the way it does. And that's what creates the memories and the image. I mean, I don't think there's any question Bradshaw benefited from being on a tremendous team.
Sure.
I also think he was a really good quarterback for that era. Now, statistically, obviously, you look back now, and I mean, he was around a 50% completion rate. So you're not talking about one of the all-time accurate passers, but their passing game also was largely, 20 yards or more downfield. There was not, a lot of West Coast offense where Bradshaw was just throwing the 5-yard dink and dunks and taking what the defense was giving him either. It was pretty much you hand it off or you're throwing the ball a good ways downfield. So, that's a little different too in that era. And I don't know. I mean, just like the Brady Belichick thing. I mean, everybody now is like, well, it was obviously Brady. No, it was the combination. I mean, Belichick and what he did, and obviously, I mean, it was the combination and everything else fitting together the way they needed it to. But that's the thing. Like you can't take a coach out of the equation. You can't take a key player out of the equation, right? I mean, that's when you're talking about championship teams, that stuff all fits together. And, how many NBA titles does Michael Jordan win without Scottie Pippen? Well, I have no idea.
Nice call.
I mean, we'll never know because that's not the way it played out.
They're crapping on Belichick saying, "Oh, it was all Tom Brady. It was all Tom Brady." He had 8 guys opt out of the season, 8 starters, and he lost Tom Brady. You lost 9 starters,
and they knew right, and they because they went all in.
Salary caps restricted for a while.
So, I mean, he knew what was coming. I mean, and there's not much he could do about it,
and that's why he's playing chess, and everybody else is playing checkers. I mean, that's how. I mean,
I'm still over here playing tiddlywinks myself.
No doubt about it. I'm still watching the thing go down the steps.
Yeah. Oh, the slinky.
The slinky dinky.
Let's take a break here. Let's eat some wings, shall we? We will continue more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Who knows where we'll go next as we continue on a Thursday afternoon.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
wants to turn $20 into $500? Support our local restaurants this holiday season. Eat in or dine out, from French fries to lobster. Bring us your receipt and we'll take $500 off your final price. Here's how simple this is. Bring us a receipt, buy a car from us in the month of December, and we'll take $500 off your final price. Merry Christmas from Blaze Alexander Hyundai Mazda. Support your local restaurants and servers. And remember, tell them Johnny sent you.
Man, these are good wings.
Absolutely.
I'm just letting you know what you're missing if you're not coming down to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Yeah.
Arizona Ranch is still
Still your number one?
Yeah. You can't beat it.
You change it up. And, I go with the Korean barbecue every once in a while.
Yeah. No, there's other sauces I enjoy very much as well, but man, that Arizona Ranch is just crazy good.
Very good. I'm telling you, that's your Super. I mean, you got your Super Bowl party next weekend, and you don't want to go out. They'll bring it to they'll deliver. Well, I guess Grubhub deliver, but they'll also deliver right to your car too. So, my advice is to get some beautiful wings from the Lube. Support local, all of that stuff, brother love, all of that stuff.
Load up on the napkins as well would be my advice as well. Let's talk a little bit. Penn State football getting another transfer in from Harvard.
I had to research this, dude.
Well, I was. Did you really?
I had to.
Did you? No, I watched Harvard very closely last year, and you break down this guy.
I sat there and I looked at Carrie. I said, "What in the hell would you leave Harvard to go to Penn State for?" But he's a college graduate, so I had to look into that.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting there, I was like, "Dude, I love playing football and this and that, but you're getting a Harvard education, and I love the education that I got. I love this I love this state. I love this university. But you're in Harvard. You stay at Harvard. But he is a college graduate, so I did notice. I know that's the first thing I wanted to look up, and good for him. I think that coach is understanding that this kid wasn't a first team all Ivy League player. He was a second team all Ivy League player, but obviously smart. It's a position that we need some depth in this and that end. And if he can come in right away, it's not like he's not going to be smart enough to pick up the offense. I mean, he should be okay picking up the offense.
I think that'll be all right.
I think that it's the smartness will be his strong point.
Although there is a difference between book smart and football smart, we should point out there are some very bright people who cannot quite pick up the nuances of football at the higher levels.
And there are some very smart IQ'd football players who are very dumb in real life, and there's vice versa.
True enough.
But I mean, again, coach, knowing there's a weakness, goes out and fills that weakness. Again, we go back to the whole he's got to recruit his team every year the way it's going right now. And, he's got a proven kid coming in, so we're going to see where it goes.
Yeah. I like what the makeup seems to be right now for this team going into next year. I'm okay with the defections and again, as much as you know about the transfers coming in, it seems like largely these are good fits at positions of need. And I don't know. I always tend to be the glass half full guy. It really does feel to me like Penn State is positioned well to make a run next year, to make a run at a Big Ten title again. Whether they can get over the hump with Ohio State or not, I'm
with you on that.
I'm not going to sit here and predict now, but I think it is a talented team, and I think that they are continuing to head and build in the right direction, which is, I think, as a fan, what you're hoping and looking for.
And I'm going to say one thing about Ohio State. It's tough coming back from a whooping like that. On a national stage, when it's happened 3 or 4 times now, you got to keep coming back, back to the dinner table, and that was a whooping, dude. I mean, Alabama put it on them pretty damn good, and that's one of those things you don't come back from quickly because they went into it so high, and they were like, oh, it's our year. I mean, we were convinced that it was going to be a much better game than it really was. And it was just a thorough booty whooping. And it's going to be tough for Ohio State to bounce back from that again, because this isn't the first time they've been down this road. It's the third or fourth time, and that's ripe for the pickings for Penn State right there.
Yes and no. Again, it's one of those things that I think you can play it either way, because it can also be, all right, motivation again in the offseason. By God, we're going to prove next year that we are. I mean, this really was. I think you and I both agree. This was, even by Alabama standards, a really special football team.
Oh, my God.
I mean, when you look at what Bama did this season, I think that team would have been, I mean, I think all the other teams would have been better too had we not been facing COVID. But I mean, I really think the statistics that Alabama could have put up during a 12-game season on both sides of the ball are pretty staggering.
Had a conversation.
So I think that's an historically good team. And so, if you're Ohio State, I hear what you're saying about getting, and how many times, but I also think that those guys, we've just seen it play out previously with them, right? They come back more determined, and Ryan Day seems to have pushed the right buttons at least these last 2 seasons for sure.
And he's doing that whole motivation
with these
thing,
guys.
the code number to get into the building. I mean, Tressel tried it. He did it, and this and that. Now it's the third time. I just think it might wear thin with the players. He has to find another venue, another way to go with this.
Yeah,
because it's might be old hat to these players by now. Like, oh, we got to do the whole. We got to see the score on the weight room wall again.
But at the end of the day, there is still. I think. You tell me what you think. I still think there is a talent gap. I mean, Ohio State just has more. Outside of Alabama and Clemson, maybe. Ohio State has more of the 5-star guys than anybody else in the country, and they do a good job at developing them. And yeah, they might not be getting over the hump against Alabama, but man, they're whipping up on everybody else. And in the Big Ten, they are still, clearly the standard bearer. And again, I think Penn State is closing that gap, but make no mistake, there is still a gap. Now, again, in a given season, can Penn State put it together? And, there's a lot of things that factor in outside of just raw talent on a football roster. But, Ohio State still, to me, it might be Alabama and Clemson overall consistently, and then Ohio State and, Oklahoma, Georgia, whoever else you want to throw in there. And then that next tier is still, that's where Penn State is, which, again, is not a bad place to be. And if you had told just about anybody in 2012 that from 2016 to 2021, Penn State would be in that third tier in the top 10 of overall programs, I don't know that there's a single Nittany Lion fan that wouldn't have signed up for it. And I don't know that there's a single college football fan that would have been incredulous that was possible. So, part of it is appreciating what you have, but yeah, also you're wanting to get to that next level now. And I think, they've been on the cusp. We'll give the pass this past season, but they've been on the cusp, the few years before that. And we'll see. It feels to me like they're at least going to be on the cusp again in the upcoming season.
Exactly. You got to have a spring practice. You got to have a preseason, all of that stuff with new offensive coordinator. We didn't get that last year with the new offensive coordinator. Now we have a new offensive coordinator. Now we have to have that because we saw what does happen if you don't have the time with the coaches on field changing your offense. You can learn it on, we're talking about book smarts versus football smarts. And these guys had to learn a whole offense on Zoom calls and stuff like that. That's no way to learn. You got to learn by doing and seeing it and all that. So it is. I'm very interested in last year we said before, it's a pass. I mean, it didn't happen. It happened, but it didn't happen. Interested to see where we're going to be this time.
Well,
what are we talking about this time next year?
I do think the fact that they finished up the way they did is significant, right?
No
I mean, the fact that James Franklin clearly did not lose that team, and that they were able to build some momentum going into the offseason and
so easily could have
and start to for sure. And so I think I think there are lots of reasons for optimism about the upcoming season, but whether or not, how high that optimism meter runs, I guess is the question. Do you really think Penn State can win another Big Ten title here in the upcoming season and get into the
very interesting
football playoffs for the first time? And I don't know. I think they're going to be on the cusp. I just don't know if they're going to get there again.
Like I said, January, the game was the 9th, so January 10th, the day after the national title game, I think we said the difference between Alabama and Ohio State is the same distance between Penn State and Ohio State. So we need to make that difference up. I mean, I know we're not going to go to Alabama standards right now. I don't think anybody can ever get to Alabama standards there the way they are in this era.
Yeah.
Again, we always say it. We always have to say it with this era, the way it is with everybody moving around and stuff like that. Because I'm sure that they were, some of those 60s and 70s Alabama teams, USC teams, and they were just stacked. But it's a whole different world right now. And the fact that we talk about Brady and Belichick and what they did in New England is what Alabama's doing, with Saban and Alabama are doing. It's just absolutely insane. So I'm talking to Scott Walker, the GM of the Spikes, and we had this conversation before between you and I reiterated it yesterday with him, and I said, I never in my lifetime ever would think that the worst NFL team could lose to the best college football team. But I'm telling you right now, I think that Alabama team could give the Jacksonville Jaguars a run for their money this season. I mean, that's how special that Alabama team was. So Ohio State needs to bounce back from that, and they will, and that's what but if they do come back, we need to jump them, and that's where we want to be, and we got to chase them down.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting season. I'm curious to see how the spring practices play out, whether or not we get any type of a blue-white game or not, and what that experience.
Whether it's a blue-white game or not, they need to get on the field to get that practice.
Yeah.
And we saw what the benefit, the downside of not having that is, and I know not everybody else did, but we had a new offensive coordinator come in. But yeah, guess what? We're doing the same exact thing this season. Be interesting, brother.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that there are. I feel like there's a good opportunity for this program to take another step forward. But again, so many factors that you can't possibly know how they're going to come together or not come together. That to try to accurately predict it right now, I think is probably fool's gold. But
I know it's a long way down the road, but I actually looked at the schedule the other day. Did you look at that schedule?
I have not.
Open at Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Ball State, who just won the MAC. Auburn home.
Yeah.
And then we got Villanova at home, but I mean that's just spreading the wealth, playing Rutgers and Maryland. Now we're down to playing Delaware and Villanova. But
Villanova's backcourt is as good as anybody.
I'm
sorry.
Their front men, their front court's awesome. No, but I mean, you got Wisconsin, Ball State, and Auburn in your first 3 games. Wow, they better have a spring practice and a preseason practice, so they're going to get pounded in pretty quick, man.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on I'm not. I mean, I guess I'm of two mindsets on having Wisconsin as that opener. I'm not a big fan. I guess in general.
Is there a reason for it?
From a fan's perspective, right? I mean, it is going to be fun. Like, I'm certainly going to be a lot more jazzed to watch Penn State and Wisconsin than some of the openers we've had in years past. But that being said, right? I mean, college football doesn't have a preseason, but most of these schools now, that being said, Penn State's had, with mixed results, with the Kickoff Classic and stuff over the years. I mean, it's not unheard of that you open up with a big game, but to open up with a big conference game is new territory here for the Nittany Lions.
Booch, is there a reason why we're kicking the season off? Is that the new Big Ten thing that they're starting?
I think the Big Ten just wanted to mix it up a little bit.
Be interested to see, but I mean that's a bear to start off with at Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Labor Day weekend. My Lord, geez, tough place to play, and it's going to be really tough because that'll be their first time back with fans.
But it does get your we hope.
Might be a little bit. Oh yeah, you're right. Hold on, you're right. It might be a little loud at Camp Randall.
Yeah,
that's a loud place, brother.
But it also, right, it should have your players dialed in and focused, right? I mean, sometimes, you're kind of walking through that first game in a bit of bit of a daze
Yeah.
still, and
But how many good
this
players
one
you
at least gets everybody fired up and ready to go. Nobody's going to be taking the season opener lightly, that's for sure.
Like I said, depending on how how many new players are out there who haven't played in front of fans, that's definitely a place you walk out and you're like, holy crap, this is a pretty cool stadium and a great environment. And then you may have some people who are get a little starstruck at first, and then you get smacked in the mouth once, and then you wake up and realize, okay, it's time to play football. But you don't want to have that more in all of your players. So interesting to see. And but then Auburn coming here. I mean, Ball State is the other one. Everybody's like, oh, it's a MAC school. Dude, Ball State's legit. Then you have Auburn, and thank God they're down. I guess you could say that, but I mean, we talk about it before. I mean, you don't know when you make these out of conference games. 10 years ago, Auburn was on top of the heap.
Yeah,
and it was like, oh, that's gonna be a great game. But they're just coming out from wherever right now, wherever they're at. Whoever they're, what's their 56 coach since their national title? It seems like that, doesn't it? But I mean, that's another game but it could be scary opening season.
Oh yeah, well, especially coming off the. Depending on how those first two go, right? I mean, that one could have.
And they have a new coach, a guy came
a lot of weight.
So now you got to worry about. You got to recruit Boise's offense and Boise's defense now, because that's what Auburn's going to be running in week 3. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. So I mean, those spring practices are absolutely going to be enormous for this team. And if we keep on doing like we're doing, recruiting a new team every here and there, getting 10 or 15 guys plus freshmen coming in, you need those spring practices to get this team ready to go.
Yeah, Auburn fans are not as excited about that blue field as I thought they would be. That's probably they may have to rethink that change on the Auburn culture coming in from
War Eagle, baby. You ever go down to Alabama or Auburn? Have you ever been there?
I never have.
Nor have I. Everybody I know who's going down to Alabama.
No, that would be on my list. Army Navy would still be number one on my list of games that I've not been to. That is a bucket list game for me. At some point, I have got to get.
It's up there with me. I
mean,
it is my favorite game of the year. Let me think about this. I want to say this the right way. I grew up in the Philadelphia area. Never went to a Army Navy game, even though it was in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
it was just one of those things. It was more Army Navy people going. Not many locals went because the tickets were so hard to get.
Well,
then being 1 hour from Williamsport and never having gone to the Little League World Series.
Yeah, I never have either.
Really? You're just as bad as me then.
I'm worse. I've lived here all my life. Yeah, we've just never made it down. I mean, watched it obviously a bunch of times on TV, but we've never.
Yeah, the fact that I've never gone to is insane, and that's one of those bucket list things you got to do. So the Army Navy thing is just, I love the pageantry and everything about it. It's usually ice cold, winter, snow, breathing, the march of the cadets through some snow and all that stuff. It's so cool. Yeah,
no, that one for college games that I've not been to, that is. Unquestionably at the top of the list for me of games that I want to
Correct the
see.
mundo, buddy.
Penn State wrestling, I've had a couple people asking, again, to this point, as far as we know, everything is on still for Saturday, hoping that is the case. I don't have any more insight as to what the lineup's going to look like or who's out. Or potentially out with COVID or anything else. They are able to travel 20 because it's a tri-meet. Normally you're traveling 13 for the conference duels, 13 wrestlers. And this year they've upped that to 15. And then with the tri-meet, again, it's 20. So one of the many, many things I'm curious to see how it's handled on Saturday is with the extra matches. They're obviously trying to get the starters 4 bouts under their belt as quickly as they can. So my guess is you're going to see Penn State at least try to get a third match for all of the starters. And then out of the extra 10 that they bring, and again, you may see a couple of guys at a couple of weights in the varsity duels. but I think it's going to be more imperative to get the starters matches out of the gate.
Sure.
The peril in that, though, is right. If you do get an injury, then what you're really trying to do is get at least 2 guys 4 matches as quickly as you can, and that's not just for Penn State. That's for any school across the board. Because again, injuries are part of the sport, and it's not often you get through an entire season without a starter missing at least some time. The problem is, if with a condensed season like this, if you have a starter missing some time, it is very likely, at least possible, that he's going to miss the postseason. I mean, you only have 2 months here, basically, that you're trying to squeeze the season in. And now for Penn State, it's even less than that. With
how much COVID's going on in the other Big Ten teams? Has it been hard as hit as Penn State?
It doesn't seem to be. But I don't know what's going on in individual rooms, but we're not having matches postponed across the board. The thing with Penn State is that following weekend, presuming, and be careful presuming, but let's say we do get Indiana and Northwestern in here on Saturday. The following weekend, Penn State's supposed to be at Ann Arbor to wrestle Wisconsin and Michigan. And there's still no official word yet on, presumably Penn State and Wisconsin are going to wrestle.
Yes. But
where, and are they able to get another school, or maybe even 2 other schools at this point in to get those. And listen, it could be a situation where instead of just having the Sunday, it's supposed to be a Sunday tri-meet, it may be a situation where Penn State, all right, Friday, now we'll wrestle at Rutgers, and then Sunday you go to Wisconsin, or have 2 home. I mean, I don't know how you handle
that's crazy
from an equity standpoint, a dual meet when you're supposed to meet at a neutral site for Penn State, Wisconsin. I mean, it's unfair to either school, especially when you're talking about that type of distance.
People don't know, Michigan is under big-time COVID.
Yeah, so their athletic department has shut down for 2 weeks, which the end of that would be this dual meet. So that dual meet is out, because that's, again, just when they're allowed to start activities.
Oh, Wisconsin wants to wrestle in the Loop. We can get some space going in here.
I'd be all right with that myself.
That little poll, but hey, whatever. That's just one of the.
It's going to be hard for some of those guys to make weight if they're spelling these wings. I got to tell you that. So again, the logistics of all of this is, I really do feel, we've talked about this before, but for as critical as I am of the NCAA and the conference and all of that, what they are trying to pull off and all of the logistics that they have to pull together. And Penn State had something like, I think they're still in the midst of it. I don't know if they all, well, I know some of them didn't go through, but I think it was 13 days of sports that they were having to juggle here at Penn State between, now again, women's volleyball got postponed, wrestling got postponed, but between the basketball teams and hockey and the other programs, gymnastics and everything, they were trying to get. And again, you're trying to pull your resources as best you can. You're having to make all of these adjustments with radio coverage, TV coverage, support staff, all of the personnel. I mean, there is a whole lot of logistics that go into a normal season. And when you throw in everything that is being thrown at these folks this season, my hat is off to all of the folks working in these athletic departments, doing everything they can to try to give these kids as good of a collegiate experience and competitive experience as they possibly can.
It's I couldn't imagine it. I mean, we were creatures of habit as athletes, but especially with Joe, the way he was and everything stuck in his ways, and that, I could not freaking imagine how blown up he would be and how blown up we would all be with all of this. It's a moving target constantly. It's constantly moving, and the way people are like you're saying, Michigan can't host you at Penn State and Wisconsin. So what do? So you go out and you throw tell Minnesota to come down and we'll wrestle you at Michigan State and get 14. But then you got Minnesota might be wrestling Ohio State. It's crazy.
Yeah, so many variables that go into all of it.
And the best part about wrestling is you just say, okay, we'll meet you tomorrow. We'll go. It's like Coastal Carolina playing BYU.
Yeah.
You couldn't have that with the big Power 5 football conferences, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that wrestling is more like that. Like, hey, you know what? We got to get these in. Let's just get it done.
Yeah.
And it's just no ho-hum, no drama, no crap. Just get out there, wrestle, and go home.
Let's go do it.
That'd be awesome.
Well, hopefully we have some wrestling to talk about
Is
that
it
we'll
on TV?
be able to review. No, it'll be on Big Ten Plus.
Gotcha.
And then obviously go PSU Sports and local radio will have it. But, no TV coverage of the two matches on Saturday. So
we're going to listen to you.
We'll see. You're stuck. Sorry about that. We hope you all have a great weekend. We hope you enjoy all of the non-Super Bowl sports activities that are out there, and we hope you're safe. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday with yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show here from Quaker Steak and Lube.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Who wants to turn $20 into $500? Support our local restaurants this holiday season. Eat in or dine out, from French fries to lobster. Bring us your receipt and we'll take $500 off your final price. Here's how simple this is. Bring us a receipt, buy a car from us in the month of December, and we'll take $500 off your final price. Merry Christmas from Blaze Alexander Hyundai Mazda. Support your local restaurants and servers. And remember, tell them Johnny sent you.